You are driving down the highway of life, and suddenly someone cuts you off. Your heart races, your grip tightens on the wheel, and you feel that familiar surge of anger rising within you. But wait, instead of honking your horn or shouting, you take a deep breath, smile, and continue on your way. That, my friends, is the power of not reacting. Now, you might be thinking, easy for you to say. How can I possibly control my emotions like that? Well, I'm here to tell you that not only is it possible, but it's also one of the most valuable skills you can develop in your lifetime. It's a skill that can transform your relationships, supercharge your career, and bring you a level of inner peace you never thought possible. Life is 10%. What happens to you in 90%, how you react to it. And let me tell you, the quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of your reactions. So today, we are going to dive deep into the art of emotional control. And I promise you, by the time we are done, you will have the tools to become the master of your emotions rather than their slave. Now, I want you to think about the last time you reacted emotionally to a situation. Maybe your boss criticized your work, or your spouse said something that hurt your feelings. How did you respond? Did you lash out in anger? Did you retreat into a shell of hurt and resentment? Or did you take a moment to pause, breathe, and respond thoughtfully? If you are like most people, you probably reacted instinctively without much thought. And that's perfectly natural. We are hardwired to react quickly to potential threats. Back in the caveman days, that instinct kept us alive. But in today's world, that same instinct can often do more harm than good. When we react emotionally, we are not thinking clearly. We are not in control. We are letting our primitive brain take over, and that rarely leads to good decisions or positive outcomes. But here's the good news. We have the power to change that. We have the ability to pause, to create space between stimulus and response, and to choose our reactions wisely. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but I'm just an emotional person. That's who I am. Let me tell you something, my friends. That's a story you have been telling yourself, and it's time to write a new one. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness behind your emotions. You are the one who can observe your feelings and choose how to respond to them. Think of it this way. Your emotions are like the weather. They come and go, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. But you are the sky. You are always there, unchanging, watching the weather patterns come and go. Your job is not to control the weather, but to learn how to fly your plane, no matter what conditions you encounter. So how do we do this? How do we develop this incredible power of not reacting? Well, it starts with awareness. You need to become aware of your emotional triggers, those situations or people that tend to provoke strong reactions in you. Maybe it's criticism, or feeling disrespected, or not getting your way. Whatever it is, start paying attention to what sets you off. Once you are aware of your triggers, the next step is to practice the pause. This is where the magic happens. When you feel that emotional surge coming on, take a deep breath. Count to 10 if you need to. Give yourself a moment to let the initial wave of emotion pass. In that pause, you create space for choice. In that space, ask yourself these questions. Is my reaction going to help or hurt this situation? What would the wisest version of myself do right now? How can I respond in a way that aligns with my values and long-term goals? Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds great in theory, but in the heat of the moment, it's not so easy. And you are right, it's not easy. But let me tell you, it's worth it. Because every time you choose not to react, every time you respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally, you are building a new neural pathway in your brain. You are creating a new habit, a new way of being. And here's the beautiful thing. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. It's like building muscle. At first, it's challenging, and you might fail more often than you succeed. But with consistent practice, you will find yourself becoming more and more in control of your emotions. Now, let me share with you a little secret. The most successful people in the world, in any field, have mastered this skill. They have learned to respond rather than react. They've learned to keep their cool when everyone else is losing theirs, and that gives them an incredible advantage in life. Think about it. In business, the ability to stay calm under pressure can mean the difference between making $1 million deal or losing it. In relationships, the power to listen without immediately reacting can transform conflicts into opportunities for deeper understanding and connection. In your personal life, the capacity to face challenges without being overwhelmed by negative emotions can be the key to achieving your goals and living a fulfilling life. But here's the thing. This is not just about success in the external world. It's about inner peace. It's about freedom. Because when you're no longer at the mercy of your emotional reactions, you experience a profound sense of peace and control in your life. You are no longer a leaf blown about by every emotional wind. You become the tree, deeply rooted, able to bend without breaking. Now, I want to share with you a powerful technique that can help you in those moments when you feel your emotions starting to take over. It's called the STOP technique, S-T-O-P. Here's how it works. S stands for stop. Whatever you're doing, just pause for a moment. T is for take a breath. Focus on your breathing. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. O means observe. Notice what's happening in your body. Are your muscles tense? Is your heart racing? What thoughts are going through your mind? And P is for proceed. Now that you've given yourself this moment of awareness, choose how you want to respond. This simple technique can be a lifesaver in those heated moments when you feel like you are about to lose control. It gives you that crucial pause, that space to choose your response. But remember, this is not about suppressing your emotions. Emotions are a vital part of the human experience. They give color and depth to our lives. The goal is not to become an emotionless robot, but to develop a healthy relationship with our emotions, to feel them fully, to understand them, but not to be controlled by them. Think of it like this. Your emotions are like a powerful river. You cannot stop the river from flowing, and you wouldn't want to. But you can build banks to channel that river to direct its flow in a way that's beneficial rather than destructive. Now let me tell you a story. There was once a young man who had a terrible temper. His father gave him a bag of nails and told him that every time he lost his temper, he should hammer a nail into the fence. The first day, the boy drove 37 nails into the fence. But gradually, as he learned to control his anger, the number of nails he hammered each day decreased. Finally, the day came when the boy didn't lose his temper at all. He told his father, who suggested that now, for every day he controlled his temper, he should pull out one nail. The days passed, and eventually all the nails were gone. The father took his son by the hand and led him to the fence. He said, "You have done well, my son, but look at the holes in the fence. The fence will never be the same. When you say things in anger, they leave a scar just like this one. You can put a knife in a man and draw it out. It won't matter how many times you say, 'I'm sorry.' The wound is still there." This story illustrates an important point. Our reactions, especially our emotional outbursts, can have lasting consequences. They can damage relationships, harm our reputation, and create problems that take far longer to fix than the moment it took to create them. But here's the good news. Just as we can learn to control our reactions, we can also learn to repair the damage we've done. It starts with taking responsibility for our actions. No blaming, no excuses. Just a simple, "I was wrong, and I'm sorry." Then we need to make amends. This might mean having a heartfelt conversation to clear the air, or taking actions to rebuild trust. And finally, we need to commit to doing better in the future, to learning from our mistakes and growing as individuals. Now, I want to address something important here. Some of you might be thinking, but what about when someone really wrongs me? Don't I have a right to be angry? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Anger can be a legitimate and even necessary emotion in certain situations. It can motivate us to stand up against injustice and fight for what's right. But here's the key. Even in those situations, we still have a choice in how we express that anger. We can express it in a way that's destructive and harmful, or we can channel it into constructive action. The most effective leaders and change makers in history understood this. They didn't let their anger control them. They used it as fuel for positive change. Think about it this way. Anger is like fire. It can warm your house or burn it down. The difference lies in how you use it. The same goes for all our emotions. They are not inherently good or bad. It's what we do with them that matters. So how do we develop this level of emotional mastery? Well, it starts with self-awareness. You need to become a student of your own emotions. Start paying attention to how you feel throughout the day. What triggers certain emotions in you? How do those emotions manifest in your body? What thoughts accompany them? One powerful tool for developing this awareness is mindfulness meditation. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, meditation. That's not for me, but hear me out. Mindfulness is not about emptying your mind or achieving some state of blissful calm. It's simply about paying attention to the present moment without judgment. When you practice mindfulness regularly, you start to develop what psychologists call metacognition, the ability to observe your own thoughts and emotions as if from a distance. This creates a space between you and your emotions, giving you more freedom to choose how to respond. Another powerful tool is journaling. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to write down any significant emotional experiences you had. What triggered them? How did you react? What were the consequences of your reaction? Over time, you will start to see patterns emerge, giving you valuable insights into your emotional landscape. A crucial aspect of emotional control that often gets overlooked, physical health. You see, our emotions aren't just in our heads, they're intimately connected to our bodies. When we are tired, hungry, or physically stressed, we are much more likely to react emotionally. So part of mastering your emotions is taking care of your physical health. This means getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, and regular exercise. It's hard to keep your cool when you're running on 4 hours of sleep and a diet of junk food, but when you are well rested and your body is nourished, you will find it much easier to maintain emotional balance. Exercise, in particular, can be a powerful tool for emotional regulation. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which are natural mood boosters. Plus, the physical act of exercise can help release tension and pent-up emotions in a healthy way. Now, I want to address another important point. Developing emotional control doesn't mean becoming a pushover. It does not mean letting people walk all over you or never standing up for yourself. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When you are in control of your emotions, you are in a much better position to assert yourself effectively. Think about it. When you are reacting emotionally, you are often not thinking clearly. You might say things you don't mean or take actions that make the situation worse. But when you are emotionally balanced, you can express your needs and boundaries clearly and calmly. You can stand your ground without losing your cool. This is what I call assertive calmness. It's the ability to be firm and clear about your position while maintaining emotional composure. It's an incredibly powerful skill in both personal and professional situations. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are in a meeting at work and a colleague takes credit for your idea. The reactive approach might be to angrily confront them in front of everyone, creating a scene and potentially damaging your professional relationships. The emotionally controlled approach would be to take a deep breath, remain calm, and say something like, "I'm glad you brought that up. As I mentioned when I proposed that idea last week, I think it has a lot of potential. I'd love to collaborate with you on developing it further." See the difference? In the second approach, you are standing up for yourself and setting the record straight, but you are doing it in a way that's professional and non-confrontational. This is the power of emotional control in action. A crucial skill in emotional control, empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And let me tell you, when you develop empathy, it becomes much easier to control your emotional reactions. Why? Because when you can see things from another person's perspective, you are less likely to take things personally. You are more likely to respond with understanding rather than reacting with anger or hurt. For example, let's say your spouse comes home from work and snaps at you for no apparent reason. The reactive approach might be to snap back or withdraw and hurt. But if you approach the situation with empathy, you might realize that they have had a tough day at work and their behavior is not really about you at all. This understanding can help you respond with compassion rather than reacting defensively. Developing empathy takes practice. It involves really listening to others, not just waiting for your turn to speak. It involves trying to understand where they're coming from, even if you don't agree with them. And it involves recognizing that everyone is fighting their own battles, many of which we know nothing about. Now, I want to address something that many people struggle with me. The fear of being perceived as weak if they don't react emotionally. There's this misconception that showing strong emotions, especially anger, is a sign of strength. But let me tell you, true strength lies in being able to control your emotions, not in being controlled by them. Think about the people you admire most. The great leaders, the wise mentors. Are they the ones who fly off the handle at the slightest provocation, or are they the ones who remain calm and composed even in the face of adversity? I bet it's the latter. Anyone can react. It takes no strength, no courage, no skill to simply react to whatever life throws at you. But to pause, to think, to choose your response deliberately, that takes real strength. That's what sets apart the truly successful people in any field. Something that's absolutely crucial in developing emotional control. Self-compassion. Many of us are our own harshest critics. When we make a mistake or fail to live up to our own expectations, we beat ourselves up mentally. And this self-criticism often leads to emotional reactivity. But here's the thing. You cannot berate yourself into better behavior. Harsh self-criticism doesn't lead to improvement. It leads to discouragement and more negative emotions. Instead, we need to learn to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a good friend. This doesn't mean making excuses for bad behavior. It means acknowledging our mistakes, learning from them, and then moving forward with determination to do better. It means recognizing that we are human, that we are all works in progress, and that's okay. When you develop self-compassion, you create a stable inner foundation that makes it much easier to navigate the ups and downs of life without being thrown off balance emotionally. You become more resilient, more adaptable, and ultimately more in control of your emotions. Hence the powerful technique for developing emotional control. Reframing is the ability to look at a situation from a different perspective. It's about changing the meaning we assign to events. It's not the events themselves that cause our emotional reactions, but the meaning we give to those events. And the beautiful thing is we have the power to change that meaning. For example, let's say you get passed over for a promotion at work. The reactive approach might be to feel angry, hurt, and resentful. But what if you reframe the situation? What if you saw it as an opportunity to identify areas for improvement in your skill, or as a sign that maybe this is not the right company for your long-term career goals? By reframing the situation, you change your emotional response to it. You move from a place of victimhood to a place of empowerment. And that's what emotional control is all about. Taking back your power, becoming the author of your own emotional state, rather than a passive recipient of whatever life throws at you. Now, I want to address something that's becoming increasingly important in our modern worlds. Digital emotional control. In this age of social media and constant connectivity, we are faced with more potential emotional triggers than ever before. How many times have you found yourself getting worked up over a comment on social media, or feeling envious scrolling through your news feed, or getting into heated arguments with strangers online? The digital world can be an emotional minefield if we are not careful. But here's the thing. The same principles of emotional control apply online as they do in the real world. The key is to pause before you post, to think before you type. Ask yourself, is this response coming from a place of emotional reactivity? Is it aligned with my values and the person I want to be? Remember, once something is out there on the internet, it's out there forever. So before you hit that send button, take a deep breath, give yourself that crucial moment to choose your response wisely. And here's another tip. It's okay to disconnect. In fact, it's necessary. Set boundaries around your digital consumption. Maybe that means no phones at the dinner table or no social media for the first hour after you wake up. Give yourself some space to connect with your own thoughts and feelings without the constant input from the digital world. Visualization, Athletes have long used visualization to improve their performance, and we can use the same technique to improve our emotional responses. Here's how it works. Think of a situation that typically triggers a strong emotional reaction in you. Now close your eyes and visualize yourself handling that situation calmly and effectively. See yourself taking a deep breath, staying composed, and responding in a way that you'd be proud of. The more vividly you can imagine this, the more effective it will be. Really feel the sense of calm and control in your body. Hear the measured tone of your voice. See the positive outcome of your controlled response. When you practice this regularly, you are essentially programming your brain with a new response pattern. You are creating a mental blueprint for how to handle challenging situations. And when you encounter that situation in real life, your brain will already have a roadmap for how to respond effectively. Some people mistakenly believe that emotional control means suppressing or avoiding emotions altogether. But that's not the case at all. In fact, trying to suppress your emotions often backfires. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push it down, the more forcefully it pops back up. The same is true of our emotions. When we try to push them away, they often come back even stronger. True emotional control is not about not feeling emotions. It's about feeling them fully, understanding them, but not being controlled by them. It's about being able to say, I feel angry right now, but I choose not to act on that anger in a destructive way. This ability to feel and acknowledge our emotions without being ruled by them is what psychologists call emotional intelligence. And let me tell you, developing your emotional intelligence is one of the best investments you can make in yourself. People with high emotional intelligence tend to have better relationships, more successful careers, and greater overall life satisfaction. Why? Because they're able to navigate the complexities of human interaction more effectively. They're able to motivate themselves and others, to empathize and connect, to lead and inspire. So how do we develop this emotional intelligence? Well, it starts with self-awareness. Pay attention to your emotions throughout the day. What are you feeling? Why are you feeling it? How is it affecting your thoughts and behaviors? Then practice accepting these emotions without judgment. Remember, emotions themselves are neither good nor bad. They're just information. They're your body and mind's way of communicating with you. Your job is to listen to that communication, understand it, but then choose how to act on it. The power of language and emotional control, the words we use, both in our internal dialogue and in our communication with others, have a profound impact on our emotional state. For example, think about the difference between saying, I am angry and I feel angry. The first statement identifies you with the emotion as if anger is who you are. The second acknowledges the emotion as a temporary state that you are experiencing. This might seem like a small difference, but it can have a big impact on how you relate to your emotions. When you say, I feel angry, you create a separation between yourself and the emotion. You recognize that the anger is something you are experiencing, not something that defines you. The same principle applies to how we describe situations. Instead of saying this is terrible, try saying this is challenging. Instead of I cannot handle this, try this is difficult, but I can learn to manage it. These small shifts in language can dramatically change your emotional response to a situation. Some people think that it means always being calm, always being positive, never showing any negative emotions. But that's not realistic or even desirable. There are times when it's appropriate and even necessary to express negative emotions. If someone violates your boundaries, it's okay to express anger. If you lose someone you love, it's natural and healthy to express grief. The key is expressing these emotions in a controlled, constructive way. Think of it like this. Emotions are like water. You don't want to dam them up completely because that creates pressure that will eventually burst. But you also don't want them to flood uncontrollably. The goal is to create healthy channels for your emotions to flow. This might mean finding healthy outlets for strong emotions. Maybe that's through exercise, or art, or writing in a journal. Maybe it's through having an honest, calm conversation with the person who triggered the emotion. The important thing is that you are choosing how to express the emotion rather than letting it control you. Your personal values, the principles that guide your life, can be a powerful anchor in emotional storms. When you are clear about what you stand for, what's truly important to you, it becomes easier to make decisions about how to respond in challenging situations. For example, if one of your core values is kindness, then when someone irritates you, you can ask yourself, how can I respond to this situation in a way that aligns with my value of kindness? This does not mean being a pushover. Remember, you can be kind and still set firm boundaries, but it gives you a North Star to guide your responses. Take some time to reflect on your core values. What principles do you want to live by? How do you want to treat others and yourself? When you are clear on these values, you will find that emotional control becomes easier because you have a clear standard to measure your actions against. Like any skill, this is not something you master overnight. It takes consistent effort and practice. You will have good days and bad days. There will be times when you slip back into old reactive patterns. And that's okay. The key is to approach this journey with patience and persistence. Each time you successfully pause before reacting, each time you choose a thoughtful response over an emotional reaction, you are strengthening those neural pathways in your brain. You are building the habit of emotional control. And here's the beautiful thing. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. What once felt like a constant struggle gradually becomes second nature. You will find yourself naturally pausing, naturally choosing your responses more wisely. But remember, this is a lifelong journey. Even those who have mastered emotional control still have moments where they're challenged. The difference is they see these moments as opportunities for growth rather than failure. When you learn to master your emotions, you don't just change your own life. You change the lives of those around you. You become a source of calm in a chaotic world. You become someone others look to for guidance and stability. Think about it. When you respond to a heated situation with calm and composure, you change the entire dynamic. Your calmness can help de-escalate conflicts, inspire others to remain level-headed, and create an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. In your personal relationships, emotional control can transform the way you interact with your loved ones. Instead of getting caught in cycles of reactivity, you can create space for deeper understanding and connection. You can be there for others in a more meaningful way because you are not constantly caught up in your own emotional turbulence. In your professional life, emotional control can be a game changer. It can help you navigate office politics more effectively, handle high-pressure situations with grace, and make better decisions even when the stakes are high. Leaders who can maintain their composure inspire confidence in their teams and are more effective at guiding their organizations through challenges. But perhaps most importantly, mastering your emotions gives you a profound sense of inner peace and freedom. When you're no longer at the mercy of every emotional wind that blows, you experience a deep sense of stability and contentment. You become the eye of the storm, calm and centered even when chaos swirls around you. For the next week, I want you to commit to practicing emotional control in your daily life. Here's what I want you to do. First, each morning when you wake up, set an intention for the day. Tell yourself, today I choose to respond, not react. I choose to be the master of my emotions. Throughout the day, practice the pause. Whenever you feel a strong emotion arising, take a deep breath. Count to 10 if you need to. Give yourself that crucial moment to choose your response. At the end of each day, reflect on your experiences. Where did you succeed in controlling your emotions? Where did you struggle? What did you learn? Write it down in a journal. Remember, the goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Each small victory, each moment where you choose to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally is a step forward on this journey. And here's the thing. As you practice this, you will start to notice changes. You will find yourself feeling calmer, more in control. You will handle challenging situations with greater ease. Your relationships will improve. You will make better decisions. You will feel a greater sense of peace and contentment in your life. But do not just take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Experience the power of emotional control in your own life. Because at the end of the day, this is not just about controlling your emotions. It's about taking control of your life. It's about becoming the person you were meant to be. Someone who lives with intention, who responds to life's challenges with wisdom and grace, who makes a positive impact on the world around them. You have that power within you right now. The power to choose your responses, to shape your emotional landscape, to create the life you want to live. All it takes is the decision to start, the commitment to practice, and the patience to persist even when it's challenging. So I ask you, are you ready to take control of your emotions? Are you ready to become the master of your inner world? Are you ready to transform your life and the lives of those around you? The choice is yours, and I believe in you. I believe that you have the strength, the courage, and the determination to master this crucial skill. I believe that you can become someone who responds rather than reacts, who chooses wisdom over impulse, who lives with intention and purpose. So go forth, my friends. Practice the pause. Choose your responses wisely. Be patient with yourself as you learn and grow, and watch as your life transforms, one thoughtful response at a time. Remember, the power is within you. The power to not react, but to respond. The power to control your emotions and shape your destiny. Now go out there and claim that power. Your best life is waiting for you.